The last 24 hours has been a busy one at Chelsea. It is official, Chelsea Football Club has a new captain, and it is not really surprising, to be honest. Or maybe it is. Finally, we have a shared sponsor, and we will not be starting the season sponsorless. We are also hearing that Bayern are in talks to sign Kepa from Chelsea. All these stories and more we are going to be talking about in today's video. Let's get into it. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, thank you for joining me in today's video. Reece James has been named as the new Chelsea captain, with Ben Chilwell as the vice captain. Personally, I had thought Thiago Silva might become the new captain because of his age, experience, and leadership qualities. Especially for such a young squad like Chelsea has, I was surprised a little bit with this news. But if you think about it, right, I can understand why Thiago wasn't made captain. He's 38 and most likely playing his final season for Chelsea. Another important reason, at 38 years old, there is no guarantee that Thiago plays every game or even an automatic starter this season. Especially as the right centre-back position that Thiago plays has enough cover in Fofana. I know he's injured at the moment. Axel Disasi and even Trevor Chalobah if he's not sold. It makes no sense to make him captain now and a year later we have to choose a new captain. The more I think about this, I realize Thiago doesn't need to wear the armband to continue to be the leader on the pitch. And he will be an excellent mentor to Reece James anyway. Chelsea needs stability and Reece James offers that. His selection makes perfect sense. He has been at Chelsea since he was 6. He cares about the club and has grown into a leader on the pitch. The only concern I have about Reece James and Chilwell as captain and vice captains is that they are both injury prone. Imagine your captain and vice captain out of the team because they are both injured. Yeah, that gives me concern, and I'm not really sure how Pochettino is going to manage that for both players, to be honest. But if you think about it, choosing Reece James and Ben Chilwell makes a whole lot of sense, really, to be honest. Like John Terry, he has inherited the armband at 23. Hopefully, his period of wearing the armband will usher in success just like his predecessors. Infinite Athlete, that's the new sponsor for Chelsea Football Club. And can you believe that the deal will be worth £50 million per season? This deal, according to reports, will be the third largest shared sponsorship deal in the Premier League. And this is without European football on offer. Remember, Alliance offered Chelsea 25 or 30 million per season because we weren't in Europe. Then we got a deal with Paramount Plus that the Premier League rejected. Then online gambling company Stake.com offered 40 million per season, which the club turned down due to fan backlash. So you can see that this has been a painful process to find a shirt sponsor. But I am glad the club finally got this sorted. One less thing to worry about as the new season begins. Bayern Munich are in talks to sign Kepa Arrizabalaga. Yes, Bayern Munich are in talks to sign Kepa. You heard me right. Honestly, I cannot make sense of this news. Bayern Munich is a club that has tradition of having legendary goalkeepers. How does such a club go from Manuel Neuer to Kepa Arrizabalaga? Makes no sense. I can't make sense of it. I have no doubt in my mind that this is being driven by Thomas Tuchel. There is no doubt in my mind that this is being driven by Thomas Tuchel. And I have come to conclude that Thomas Tuchel is a fantastic manager, but he is terrible, and I mean he is terrible at sporting talent. Which of his signings for Chelsea last summer has turned out alright so far? You can argue maybe Fofana, but even Fofana has barely been able to stay fit. Don't even start me on Sterling or Kukureya. Don't forget, Thomas Tuchel almost sold Levi Colwill to Brighton last summer, if not for Todd Bowley, who stepped in and said no, let's loan him instead. Otherwise now, we would have been looking at Colwill after last season and regretting selling him to Brighton. So I am not convinced that Thomas Tuchel, even though he's a great manager, is great at identifying talent. No. Kepa has been lucky to have lasted 5 years at Chelsea. No disrespect to Kepa. He has worked hard, he has never complained. Even when he has been on the bench, he has been a good team player. You cannot fault his attitude. But his time at Chelsea has been bang average. And even that is been very kind, to be honest. If I were Chelsea, any bid above 25 million, I'd accept. In fact, or even a loan deal with obligation to buy. But if Bayern want to loan him without an obligation to buy, I think Chelsea should reject it. Because I am almost certain that it will devalue Kepa even further, as he will be found out in the Bundesliga. But the issue for me is, who becomes number one? Will you be happy with Sanchez? To be honest, I don't know much about him, other than the few games I watched of Brighton last season. But for him to lose his place in the team at Brighton to a League One goalkeeper, that concerns me a little bit. Even if Sanchez becomes number one, what happens if he gets an injury? Chelsea will have to depend on Bettinelli. I don't know much about Bettinelli. I've never really seen his game. But the idea of having Bettinelli as competition for Sanchez doesn't make me comfortable. No, I think we have major issues in the goalkeeping department. No top team competes for titles without a top quality goalkeeper. Some even have two. See Ortega and Ederson at Man City. Even Arsenal now have two top quality goalkeepers in Ramsdale and Raya. I am not sure what the Chelsea technical directors think, but I feel we need to go get a top quality number one, such as Mike Magna at AC Milan or Diego Costa. Fabrizio Romano broke the news last night that Chelsea have submitted a bid of £48 million for Romeo Lavia. I am confused. I do not understand what's going on. Now, we were hearing that Chelsea is in for Tyler Adams, the American midfielder playing for Leeds United. That he has a £20 million release clause, right? That Chelsea was looking to bring him in. Then we had Tyler Adams is not a replacement for Caicedo, right? That Chelsea is looking to bring in Tyler Adams along with Caicedo. Then now, news is breaking that we've submitted 48 million for Lavia. What is going on? There is no way that Chelsea is going to bring in 3 midfielders. 3 central midfielders. No way. I know Christopher Nkunku is injured, right? And maybe that injury has made Pochettino think of switching formations. So instead of bringing in a new striker, he's thinking of overloading the midfield. But that does not mean buying 3 central midfielders. How are they all going to play? We still have Santos. We still have Enzo. What is going on? We are not in Europe. So this makes no sense to me. Someone is lying somewhere. This puts Chelsea head-to-head with Liverpool for Lavia. Remember, Southampton turned down Liverpool's £45 million bid for Lavia as they wanted 50 million. But again, this is my confusion. If Chelsea knows Southampton wants 50 million, why did they bid 48 million? Why would you bid just 2 million short of the deal if you're really serious? And if Chelsea is not serious and just using that to force Brighton into selling Caicedo to us finally, because at times it might be a tactic for Chelsea to force Brighton to accept our next bid for Caicedo if they think we are looking away and looking at other options. But if that's the tactic, I don't know if that's a tactic, but if that's what Chelsea is trying to do, that is risky. Because what happens if Southampton accepts the £48 million deal, I'm not going to lie, I am confused. Something is not right somewhere. I don't know what's going on. These Italian clubs are becoming a headache in this transfer market. They know how to undervalue players that they are interested in, while overvaluing their own players. In what world do Juve think it makes sense to pay 40 million plus Lukaku for Vlahovic? Apart from the fact that Vlahovic was not at his best last season, there are no guarantees that he will settle in the Premier League anyway. And if you look at Chelsea's history, we don't have a good track record with strikers, especially big money strikers. Strikers who have done well at Chelsea historically have been unknown and came in under the radar. Look at Drogba. Look at Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. Look at Adol Gudjonsen, Tore Andre Flo. All these guys did not have a high profile. These guys were not big money signings. And they have some of the best record in the history of Chelsea. Look at all the big money signings that we've made. Which one of them has really worked out? Not Hernan Crespo, not Andriy Shevchenko, not Pierluigi Casiraghi, not even Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton that he was tearing up the Premier League with Alan Shearer at Blackburn. He came to Chelsea for a world record fee or English record fee, whichever it is, I can't remember now. If you know, leave a comment below and tell me if when Chris Sutton left Blackburn for Chelsea, if it was a world record fee or if it was an English record fee. I can't remember. I might have that confused. I think at the time it was 15 million, which in today's market will probably be like 100 million or 100 million plus. It was a flop, and that's even a striker that had been tearing up the Premier League with Alan Shearer at Blackburn in the season when Blackburn won the Premier League. That was 94, 95. Alan Shearer and Chris Sutton were the stars. And Sutton came to Chelsea a year later. It blanks. It was like he couldn't play football. And of course, there's Fernando Torres, Mateja Kezman. I could go on and on. So we have an history of big money strikers not doing well. There is nothing I've seen about Vlahovic's game that convinces me he's going to come to the Premier League and succeed. So especially for a player that Juve do not want. Fair enough, he's 23. But the fact is Juve do not want him. That devalues him automatically. And he's not had a good season, he's had a poor season. And you're asking for almost 100 million euros for a player you don't want that's had a terrible season. Because Chelsea value Lukaku between 50 to 60 million euros. So if you were asking for 40 million plus Lukaku, that's effectively 100 million euros. That is mental. Makes absolutely no sense. Blows my mind. Now Chelsea have said to Lukaku, you have until August to find yourself a club in Europe. Otherwise, you go to Saudi Arabia in September. If by September you don't have a club that's taking you on, you're going to Saudi Arabia. And that's what Chelsea needs to do. Chelsea owns his contract. Chelsea owns his registration. He's had opportunities. If he doesn't make it count, they need to get tough on him. Either that or you play with the under-21s. Train alone. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be a financial hit for Chelsea's books, especially with FFP. But something has got to give. Lukaku cannot hold Chelsea ransom. Everywhere Lukaku has gone, the fans end up eating him. Man U, Chelsea, Inter, even Juve that he has not signed for, the fans are now invading the stadium and shouting, we don't want Lukaku. Think of that what you will. And he has not even kicked the ball for them. If you have made it this far, thank you for joining me in today's video. Don't forget to give us a like. Let me know that you enjoyed this video. And even if you didn't enjoy it, give me a thumbs down. Write in the comments what you didn't like. Let me know what you did not enjoy, what you want me to talk about, what you want me to do better, okay? So I can make better videos for you that you'd enjoy. And of course, hit the subscribe button. Join this community. Let's grow together. Let YouTube know that you like this content. Until the next one, see you.